Hello everyone. We are here with Valentina in this special edition of the podcast. Hi, Vale.
Hi, Gloria. Hi, everyone.
Thank you
Nice
for
to be here.
thank you for joining me. So some time ago, Vale and I call her Vale because she's a fellow Italian practitioner, sister, mentor, and I love that we are both Italian here, connecting in a different level. And we were talking about my experience of birth, and I have observed Valentina opening up to a new world because up until then, birth for her was a representation of everything that we don't want to hear in a birth or in an experience. And I have been very shy sharing my story because it's a beautiful, warm, absolutely ecstatic birth. And a lot of women get hit hard. And I was really afraid of hurting them. So most times I would keep the story for myself. But the story might carry a lot of codes that might bring healing and peace also to these women that haven't experienced such a nice journey during their birth journey. So, so I asked Valentina to have this chit chat conversation for the sake of um, sharing wisdom, knowledge, opening a chapter, a new chapter, maybe.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, so I'm gonna be here not because I've experienced giving birth, but more because I was very impacted by Gloria's story, and it's a very different story from what I heard among people that I know. And so I'm more here to ask questions and maybe, yeah, interview Gloria um, about her story. And I might represent women that either didn't have this experience or they know there is something different, maybe there's something this different is possible, but they don't know where to get this information. So, yeah. I know how impacted I was, and so I think it's important to share the story.
yeah, and I it comes to mind that time that we were journeying with our mentor Gabriel, and we were in the group, and one of our beautiful soul, she was experiencing a rebirth, and because of my in my biofield there was that experience of birth, she could heal. I'm using the word healing. I don't like that word, but for a say, for lack of a better word, and expressing the fact that healing means becoming whole, becoming more of yourself. So nothing to fix, nothing to change, just becoming more of you. So she could become more of who she is because of that experience that I held in my biofield, and that was able to be shared in that circle. So, yeah, this is the hope that sharing this information, sharing these biofield codes, then more women and also men, because birthing is an initiation, but every initiation is like a birth. And so every person that goes through an initiation, everybody goes through a similar process. Maybe not so much in the body, but for sure in the letting go of the mind and trust in a bigger power than the mind itself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. So for me, so I always thought I wanted to be a mother, and I never had like questions about it or doubt about it. And then with passing of the time, well, I didn't find a partner with, you know, to have a baby with. So that, of course, was the first thing. But then I started to see people that I knew, friends, starting to get pregnant and give birth. And even the most positive stories were extremely scary for me.
Mm.
And, the amount of hours of labor and the pain that they needed to go through to make this happen. And, needing to take epidural, I think it's called,
Mm-hmm.
um, any sort of medication or help or, very, and not that there's, a judgment in that,
Mm-hmm.
but I said, well, I don't think I want to experience this. So there was really, more awareness for me of what it means to give birth, at least these days. And I said, well, maybe this is how it is. Maybe some people that had good experiences is really like rare. Maybe it can be a good experience after the third kid because I don't know, your your canal is, ready, or your body knows what it's doing better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when I heard your story, Gloria, it was, I don't know, really mind-blowing, that even in these times, because I would have believed if they would have told me, oh, in the past,
Mm-hmm.
because everything was more natural, maybe, or very past, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
We were more connected to nature. Maybe it was less painful. I would have believed it.
Mm-hmm.
But for how things are these days, thought it was basically impossible
Mm-hmm.
unless there was some really, yeah, some medicine involved that wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
let you feel the pain. So that is, I think, what many people have experienced or they hear stories about. And even, as I said, in the most positive experiences, like what I heard, it was basically pain,
Yeah.
pain,
Yeah.
but not that much pain. So that
Yeah.
was the best option that I heard. So for you,
Yeah.
it was pleasurable.
Yeah. It was really pleasurable. So, well, my birth, I think actually my story of birth started when I had this idea that I actually really wanted to become a mom. And I was in the middle of my counseling training where I had this idea, okay, if we work with moms, I believed during pregnancy back then, we will have a very different outcomes for the future generations. So there always was this awareness that we needed to do something as a generation in between the past and the future. So, like, if we want to see the earth changing, we need to work now with pregnancy. And so, after the when the counseling was over, and I actually studied a lot epigenetics and the birth and the imprinting of the mother and the father into the child and so forth. So I decided to train with Dona International, and I became a birth doula and a postpartum doula. And I started working with that awareness. And doula means the person that is there to help the woman by being there. So for me, it was really clear that one of the most important thing was the birth team. And I have learned that a lot of things that are disturbing the mom during the birth is when we involve the brain, the neocortex. So every time we put numbers, lights, sounds in the birth room, we distract the mom from the flow. It's like you have a baseline, or you have a certain cascade of hormones that needs to take place during the birth to open up, to relax, to help it. But if we keep on disturbing the process, then it will take forever, because every time you come out from that state, you need to work your back way through it. So any monitor, any sound, the hospital setting is not exactly not disturbing, because is a setting that is made to help people, but is very much concentrated on what can go wrong. And obviously, it's just the way it is. And so one of my focus was being able to give birth at home. And thankfully, we came to New Zealand, and I knew what I needed to look for, thank you to these training and these studies. And I needed to look for a person that was able to let me give birth by myself, being there, but not interrupting the flow. And I was in contact with this beautiful midwife from UK, and she is amazing. Every mom I spoke about her with is like, she is the best. And so I was, my field called her in probably. And so home birth, midwife, very experienced, very, very, very calm midwife. And then I asked my husband not to flip out every 2 seconds and to just be with me and trust the body. And then another element that helped me was my journey with the plant medicines. Before coming over here in the Netherlands, I had experienced the plant medicine with a midwife. And not because I was pregnant then, it was way before that, but this midwife would brew the tea and do a ceremony as if it was a birth. So that experience helped me to navigate my mind and being able to help the mind to shut up basically and go for a walk. Meantime, the body and the soul and the spirit would do the work. So when it happened that my water broke, I really don't like this term, but this is what we do, we use. And the labor wasn't starting. And so I called a mentor here, and she helped me to go through a meditation. So I envisioned myself going in this tube of light, going up. And then I saw my child, I saw my daughter in the distance. And she was talking to another woman who was something like Mother Mary. And they talked together. And then she looked at me, and she really looked like her now at 5 or 6. She looked at me, she ran to me, I picked her up, and we both came down. And the next second I was I had the first huge contraction, and I was immediately in active labor. And in that moment, I had a little bit of struggle. So I called the midwife, and every time I had a contraction, I felt the pain. I really felt And because I felt my muscle kind of opposing, and I couldn't find, and then I was in my mind trying to find the position, the thing. And then I said, okay, Gloria, you know how to do this. And I said, mind, you need to go. There is no place for you here, and you really need to go. I love you, but go away. And from that moment on, I remember very few things. I remember going into the water. I remember my husband feeding me chocolate, but I haven't felt any sensation anymore. My body just went into, I don't know, into autopilot. And 4.5 hours later, from the first contraction, my daughter was born in my arms. Um, yeah, she was pushed. She was pushed under my legs from my midwife, and then my husband put her up, and then immediately in my arms. I needed to turn because I was squatting. And she didn't cry. She absolutely didn't cry. She just looked at us like the most beautiful glance I've ever had from anyone in the world. And that was it. And 2 minutes later, the placenta came out, and that was it. And I felt so empowered. I felt like um, my body knew to do how to do it. I didn't have to do anything but let go. And yeah, and I told my husband I would like to birth another 5 or 6 times. I don't want other kids because yeah, um, by the time, yeah, another factor is that by the time I birthed my child, that was 42, because I had a long history of miscarriages and many adventures. So even if you're getting older, in brackets, this is absolutely possible. And so there is no, it's not that you need to be a young spring chick to do this. You can be an old wise owl and do this.
Yeah, that was the question that well, you added it now, but I think that also is mind-blowing for many people because of all the programming about this, yeah. And if you're 60, you cannot do it probably. But you know, there is not as much pressure
Mm. No.
as we think there is. It's all like all this pressure, I think, builds on the stress. And
Mm-hmm.
then that, I think,
Mm.
has consequences of how these experiences can be.
Mm.
And I heard already many people deciding to give birth at home
Mm-hmm.
instead of the hospitals for the same reasons that you said. But still, in those cases, it was extremely painful. So,
Mm.
um, it's not just that. I think the work that probably you did before that
Mm.
and the ability to trust the
Mm.
body and let go of the mind. Because what I'm thinking is really like the resistance to it, right?
Mm.
Like resisting, like whatever you resist, you contract all the muscles, even if you're not aware of it. And that will make anything more difficult, whatever it is, even if it's not the birth process. So if you're already in those states and you don't even know it, I don't think, you know, birth can be pleasurable.
It's the
Yeah.
same that you experience, this morning, for example, I was doing yoga, and this teacher comes every now and again, and she's, whoa, hardcore. And I was in an asana position, or how you want to call it. And I was, my mind was really like, oh, goodness me. But then I entered in the body, and the body relaxed, and my back twisted like, I don't know, 30 degrees more. just because I relaxed. And it's the same thing we experience when we work with the nervous system. You know, you resist, you feel like, oh no, I need to feel that when I was a child, that terrible stuff happened to me. And so the mind is like opposing you, rightfully so. The mind has its own purpose, but it shouldn't be the commander, the chief. Is not. Is one of the administration tool. And the body should be the chief. The body, the biofield, the soul should be the CEO of the company, not the mind. But we give so much importance to the mind that whenever we go in a session, the first thing is like, I don't want to go there. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we experience that for so much now, as soon as you just go in the body and you just feel that sadness, feel that pain, feel that anger, how much does it last really? 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, and then it's over. And anything, I mean, we have seen it. I don't want to make names, but we have seen it with people, with ourselves, with clients, even the worst of the abuse. When you go inside, really, how much does that pain last in a session?
Yeah, yeah, it's probably a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really the mind that is like creating all this mystery, all this story. Again, rightfully so, but it's like we are giving the power to the wrong person.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, now that I'm saying this, it's very clear why birth is so painful these days because it's a society that just follows the mind and forgot how to listen to the body, and at least the majority of people, women in this case, even if we are more naturally connected to our body,
Yeah,
um, we're still conditioned or trained even to listen to the mind more. So
yeah,
what came through is just, well, maybe it's just about learning how to listen and to trust the body, and that's
yeah,
that's about it.
yeah. But in this society, we learn that our body is kind of faulty.
Mm-hmm.
There,
Mm-hmm.
like you go into perimenopause and everybody's like, oh yeah, and the body does this and the body does that. And what boils down to is excessive of cortisol. I was starting to have all these perimenopausal symptoms, and everybody around me was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, like, yeah, you know, don't worry, it's gonna last for another 10 years. And I was like, no, like when they said, oh, you're too old to have a kid. And I said, no, it only takes you to have sovereignty and say, no, I don't want that for myself. I love myself enough. I've been on this earth enough. Like, how many lives did I spend on this earth to know more, to know better? And, and, and the message is feel yourself. Do you really want to believe that your body is faulty? When it's faulty, it's just signaling something. So I have started to dieting differently, quit coffee, and bring the cortisol level down, and voila, the symptoms are gone. It took time because unfortunately, before doing this work this profoundly um, with Gabriel and with us, my cortisol level was skyrocketing high. So it took time to teach my nervous system that I am safe. So
Mhm.
basically, that's what we need to start teaching to our youngsters. Because if we start teaching our children, especially our girl, that they are safe, and I know that the world out there is scary, and a lot of time I am living in this naive feeling that if I'm working hard enough, the world outside is going to change, so I don't have to worry about her. But now my philosophy is shifting, and I'm like, I know that she's strong, and I know that I am holding her back.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I am, as her ancestor, her direct ancestor, I'm gonna be there every step of the way. And I know that she's clever. I know that she's capable. I know that she will do it. Why don't we think about the same for ourselves? And if our ancestors are not trustworthy, we can go back generation and generation. Lately, um, I have met with another friends of ours, and at a certain point, I was, navigating through the trauma that I had, because as soon as I was born, I was placed in a bed under a lamp because I had jaundice. That's what they said. And I have been separated for many hours, many days from my mom. And that created all sorts of trauma in my life, or all sorts of adaptation in my life. So I was back then, and I worked with a newborn and da, da, da. But that at a certain point, we have introduced this cosmic mother to breastfeed me. And I have been asking this cosmic mother to feed me every time I was feeling like something was coming up. And so many things are shifting because of that, because I felt somebody had my back. I felt somebody was nourishing me. So really what we need to give ourselves is that nourishment, that love, that compassion, and that safety. Because the safety is not that everything is fine. Safety is, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like training in martial arts, because you know that when you're training that, you're going to be safe, not because you're using them. You might never throw a punch in your life, but you are confident in yourself that you could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, what I was thinking is what I was thinking was when I was hearing these stories about birth and even being a parent, which is very connected, you know. Um, Even their horror stories, you know, people going in depression and like hating their parents' life, you know. I mean, it's all connected. And this is really not to judge, it's just I'm kind of describing what I'm seeing as a journalist. And I was thinking to myself, how as humans, how did we arrive here if this is the experience, and why people keep doing it if this is the experience? So why nature, this is the most natural thing that you
Mhm.
see everywhere with animals and everything, giving birth and, you know, keep going basically, generation after generations. That why nature would create something so painful, um, you know, and unnatural, and to, yeah, you know, carry on the species. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I realized also that there is this idea in that I think it comes also from religion, that we need to suffer in order to evolve or understand or grow. And I feel it's connected to this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and all of the people that became mothers of parents, even fathers, you know, like they all said it was a big initiation, it was a big change.
Yeah.
So, but it was through pain, because that's, I think, what in society is believed. Through pain, you can actually grow. And, but for you, it was an initiation as well.
Mhm.
And it was kind of blissful.
Yeah, it was so pleasurable. If I think
Mhm.
about my birth now, I I have pleasure in me. I have pleasure in my body. My womb is like, yay, all like, yes, you remember
Okay.
that? Like my
Yeah.
best friend, like, yeah, we did it. And it was so gorgeous.
And
Yeah.
it is still the only person that I know that says that. And I wanted to ask if you know someone else.
Yeah. There are several people that talk about orgasmic birth, and one of my teacher, Debra Pascali Bonaro, she's out there talking about orgasmic birth, and Judith
Orgasmic birth.
yeah, and Giuditta Tornetta also published the book Painless Childbirth, and then Stephanie Don. I have been meeting all these beautiful, beautiful women. There is Faye in Australia. So there is a bunch of midwives, doulas, or birth practitioners that are actively talking about this. Anna May Gasking. Um, and also a man, Michel Audin, he wrote a lot of books, and this is all part of my journey from the counseling world to the birthing world. So I get to meet these people. Oh, Ibu Robin in Bali, she's doing an amazing work to grant Balinese mothers a nice birth. So there are many, many advocates out there, thankfully. It's not the standard yet, but I think it's growing and growing.
Hmm.
And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of time also in the movie, birth is
Yeah.
represented in, oh my gosh, every birth needs to be such a disaster. I fast forward every birth in every movie because it's unbearable for me to look at, and I'm like, I don't want my child to see any of this
Hmm.
because this is
Yeah,
such a brainwash.
exactly. That's how you get programmed into things. Yeah. Um, and I understand what you're saying about sharing this information with people that didn't have a good experience with birth,
Yeah,
and they might feel that their body failed.
yeah.
Or so I do understand it, because when I shared it with which is not my experience even, I was just telling a story to these people, even the one that didn't have a terrible birth, but it was still like painful. I could see, like, okay, there is something wrong with me then.
Hmm.
There is that reaction. And this is for me something that I don't fully understand, because I haven't been through the process and I don't know. It's very hard for me to understand how information like that would make me feel.
Yeah,
But I can see that this is the reaction, and I understand why you might hold back.
yeah,
And it's fine. It's good to also, read the room and read
yeah,
the sensitivity of people. But I think it's a good idea to put it on a podcast that people that are interested
yeah,
will listen to this. And um, but maybe we can say, which is all the whole work that we did in the last year and a half, or
yeah,
last year, this somatic work, that even if you didn't have this experience and so you don't have this information in your body, like, and your child doesn't have this information in their
yeah.
body, like it's not the end of the world, in a sense that they
No.
can, with
Yeah,
this type of work, like somatic work that we are doing with the
yeah,
biofield, we can share that
yeah.
information with each other. And so, yeah.
Yeah, the idea is not to make anybody feel bad. There's no mistake. I like when Gabriel says there's really no mistake. Um, but we can definitely revisit or go into the body and let the body speak and learn all the codes and understand what happened to us. And in many occasions I haven't had such an experience. Most, let's say, the birth has been the most successful story of my life, but I can, I can tell you so many stories that went completely wrong. So many times that I felt like I was failing, like, so I have that story.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, and you were sharing also about miscarriages. So it's
yeah.
not that the first try was all perfect and
Oh
blissful.
no. Oh no, I went through three miscarriages and it was super painful, and not physically, but psychologically it was absolutely detrimental. So but they taught me a lot. So um like we've learned, every experience is a treasure. So if a mom that had a not a wishful, like, experience during the birth is listening to me right now, what I would like to say is that, first of all, it's not your fault. There's no fault, there's no shame. It went in this way because we needed to learn something different. We needed to see something different. And by going there, by feeling into that, by sitting with it, we might bring the same experience and the same information forth than if we had a complete natural and blissful birth. So we cannot change everything, and you can do everything right, in brackets, and yet have different outcomes. But this is not a punishment, this is not a failure, is an experience. I was
Mhm.
asking to this cosmic mother, why all of that happened. Why was I separated from my mom? Why things happen in the way that happened with my family, with our relationship, with the past. I mean, I had four grandparents in WW2. Why are these things happening still? Right now, as we speak, there are people that are under fire, or terrible, terrible, terrible experiencing. And we cannot shift all of that, but what we can do is teaching ourselves to create an initiation out of everything that happens to us, because you cannot shift the whole society, in one go. And nowadays, there are a lot of people out there talking about parallel lives, and creating a different earth, and creating a different timeline for yourself, aspire to the best timeline ever. But what I'm witnessing is that the more I'm working with myself, the more I am detached from certain things, and the more these certain things do not shift me or my life, even though they are happening.
Mhm.
You can still live in the same society and be not touched directly from what's happening, or having a complete different experience
Mhm.
in the same thing. So what I'm saying is that if somebody is having like a cesarean section right now, I would love her to contact me, and I would love for her to be embraced by these words, and to feel good anyway, to feel that they did it anyway. And
Mhm.
then we might go there and explore and learn and understand why that needed to happen in the way that happened. And the treasure that comes out of that is also a gift for the future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is no really right and wrong. There is no wrong. There is no wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's what is good to share, I guess, that there is an experience that is something different that the majority of women experience. So the birth can be blissful. And if it doesn't happen to you,
Yeah.
like in a sense, don't worry.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And there are ways to get that information in your system, your kid system anyway,
Yeah.
and you didn't fail, you didn't do anything wrong,
Yeah.
and yeah, we start from there again, without carrying all this weight of there is something wrong with me, or you know or accusing people like you to lie. That's what I heard, not specifically to you, but what I was sharing the story on what I've seen and heard from you. There's like, no, but this, were you there? The birth? I said, no. So, well, I think it's not real, because they
Well,
don't want to admit to themselves
yeah.
that that is even possible.
Yeah.
But I think opening to the possibility makes it more possible anyway. So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And I know denial, you know, denial is part of the journey
Yeah.
sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
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 Well, thanks for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
Still blows my mind. Still, yeah, I've heard it now a few times, and I'm reading this book called The Womb Awakening, which is
Yeah.
also about this and
Yeah.
how, cosmic birth, orgasmic
Yeah.
birth, also cosmic, is uh, our natural state, and is still like blows my mind
Yeah.
because, yeah, it's hard to feel into it for me
Yeah.
because I might have come, and I don't know, back in my lineage how it was. To be honest, I don't have that information, but I feel this knowledge has been lost
Yeah.
for many, many generations. And
Yeah.
so for me, in my body, I cannot even yeah, consider it. But I'm learning. I'm open. I'm
Yeah.
open to it.
Yeah. 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 Please, especially if you want to become a mom.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, I will be here for you when you decide, if you decide, and then
Yeah.
um we'll
Thank you.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing to know. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is funny how it's been wiped out from society so much so that somebody cannot believe it.
Yeah. And I am someone that can feel things. And there are other things that I haven't experienced, but I might have a sense
Yeah.
of how it feels like.
Yeah.
But this part is like blank. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine, yeah, the sensation in the body. So, yeah.
Well, if you have had an orgasm in your life, you know,
Hmm.
you know
Yeah.
how that part feels, you know how the body can be completely and fully into something different, into a different state.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So actually you
Thanks,
do know.
Sissy.
You do know, we do know.
Yeah.
It's so okay. There is a book by Michel Audin, which is called The Hormones of Love, and he explains the birth through the hormones eye. So he's very scientific. He's a OBGYN. I think is an obstetrician. He was an obstetrician. So if somebody needs to read about something scientific, because my words are not landing in the mind, then pick up that book, have a good read, and yeah, and share about it because this is a man, this is an obstetrician, and he was talking about that. I actually translated him back when I lived in Italy, and yeah, he fully believed in that, and he married a doula actually, and then together they were sharing this information all around. So
Mhm.
if you need a man, then this is the
Yeah,
guy. He's the guy.
yeah. The more, yeah, to not just the body feeling the feelings, but yeah, be on board with the mind as well into this. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I want to add a little bit more into that. If you were a veterinarian, you
Mhm.
would know that if you do a C-section to a cow and take away the calf, she would not recognize the child.
Mm.
So actually, female animals have more consideration because they know that they can't do certain things. They can't mess around with them because they don't have a neocortex to say, well, this is my child. I'm gonna bond anyway. And so even if the body is disconnected, the mind will connect. But then there is a disconnection in the body that both mom and child will feel, could feel. And
Mhm.
of course, there are ways to recreate the bond. Nothing is lost, really, nothing. Um, but we need to be aware of these.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
I think that's the also main message that, yeah, there is no panic. That's what I
no,
would say.
yeah, yeah,
It's good to know these things and then just don't panic. Like relax, relax. It's all going how it's supposed to. In a sense, I think we need more of this because we're, yeah, and it might be school even, school
yeah,
system that we're doing something wrong. Oh my God, I'm gonna take a bad mark. I'm not gonna pass the exam if I do it wrong. Like I think we have this, yeah, this fear embedded in us.
yeah,
So when yeah, things don't go as perfect as
yeah,
we think, we believe something bad is gonna happen to us.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. Thank you so much
no,
for
thank
this
you.
conversation.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all of that again with me. It's very good for me to hear it again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And your
yeah.
but nothing, as we are seeing with the codex, with Gabriel, with our experience now, nothing is lost.
Mm-hmm.
If we can feel each other's through the internet,
Mm-hmm.
it means that we are really connected with everything all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So you might bypass something, you might skip something, you might make another turn and end up somewhere you didn't want to go. But then you can always come back or you can always
Mm-hmm.
move forward because there is really no mistake,
Mm-hmm.
even in the body, even in the body that is, you know, there is no mistake
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
unless we believe it is. And then we build up stories. Like I am the first one to have built up so many stories and feeling like the most imperfect broken piece of whatever on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been there many times.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for this. And yeah, I hope this information is impactful for people as much as has been for me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for listening and see you later. Bye.
Bye.